Welcome to Spring Papers, where I share relaxing plan with me videos, journaling and other actionable life hacks to be the best version of yourself, ADHD life hacks, and content creation and other app-related tutorials. Sometimes saving money costs money. I thought I found a super budget-friendly dot grid notebook that was half the cost of my previous notebook. If you are interested in tips on how to minimize your buyer's regret, stress levels, and financial costs, I will be sharing tips in this video using real-life example of me making several mistakes with an item that turned out to be too good to be true. The notebook had thick paper that did not bleed or ghost when I used my brush pens or mark. It had bright white paper that made it easy to fix mistakes. It had a decent number of pages. The dots are darker than I would have preferred, but it's worth a small sacrifice. Mistake number 1. When a deal seems to be too good to be true, it probably is. But the notebook had good reviews and the lure of a cheaper notebook overcame my hesitation. Good deals do exist, but they are more likely to exist in the case of a great sale, not the regular price. It can also happen when an item is new. This one had been around long enough to generate sales and reviews. If you want to jump on a deal like this, be prepared to be disappointed. It was only after I started using and bought another one before they ran out that I noticed the problems. The texture of the paper frayed the tips of my fine line Crayola markers, brush pens, and Fudensuki hard tip brush pens. The Crayola colors of the Royal Collection markers are relatively cheap to replace, but the Tombow brush pens are less budget friendly. Something about the paper also reacted with the ink in a way that made it less attractive. Sometimes the pen would skip and there would be a blank space or wobble in my lettering that came out of nowhere. In many cases, the texture issues meant abandoning the spread and redoing it, taking time in notebook pages. Mistake number 2. At this point, I should have admitted I made a mistake and bought another branded notebook before the companies that sell notebooks sell out. Instead, I decided it was my imagination, not that big a deal, and kept going. Yes, you should give things a fair chance, but when it's clear something is not going to work, it's time to find an actual solution and not keep going and hoping the problem will magically go away or does not matter. With hand lettering being largely off the table and only using cheap ballpoint pens, it would mean buying more decorative supplies, and those costs add up. The decorative supplies I buy are not overpriced, but a fair price is not cheap. Plus, I needed a new notebook that actually fit my needs. In late March, I needed to make an unusually large number of spreads to organize some projects and had to face the fact that this situation was not working, especially as I shared some of my spreads on Instagram. At this point, I decided to face reality and look at notebooks. Late March might be the absolute worst time to shop for a new notebook, for which I had several non-negotiable requirements. The previous year's stock had largely sold out on Amazon and various notebook companies' websites. New stocks would not be available in many cases until at least early September, and even companies that release a second-half notebook would not release for another month at least. The seller of the notebooks I had previously been using appears to have closed shop. Especially for items you need rather than want, especially careful when buying items that have a particularly low regular price. If an item looks too good to be true, be prepared for it to have problems. Check return policies. Can you afford to buy a better version if this great deal turns out not to be such a great deal? Read reviews and ask yourself if the problems are ones you can live with. The more expensive and important the item, the more important it is that once you have made the purchase, you make sure it works. Returns can be a hassle and feel like a time waster, but it's better than keeping an item that only raises your stress level. Trying to save money is a good thing, but there's no shame in admitting that an item is not as good as advertised. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. It encourages the YouTube algorithm to show you similar videos and helps the channel. Always remember that you as a person matter.